I'm very excited to be able to have this conversation tonight. This is different. This is a different conversation, but actually, the conversation that I'm having tonight, I would say, is actually, I don't want to say more along the lines of why I started the podcast, but I will say is a very big reason of why I started the podcast. Many of you know, and I've probably repeated this several times, that the reason I started this podcast was be able to not only shine more light on local musicians, but really to be able to bring local music to people in a way to where it wasn't heady, to
Hmm.
where it wasn't about a whole lot of music theory or just stuff that may be over some people's head that don't relate. Simply put, I wanted my wife to be able to like see what it was like to hear from musicians in a way about conversations that she felt like she could relate to, and it wasn't a whole lot of geeking on tech gear and you know this new expensive piece of this or whatever, anything like that. Which there's a little bit of that here and there, but overall, the goal is to be able to go behind like the music. Hey, that sounds cheesy, but it's real. Like to go behind, go behind the sound. Go behind. There's more to it than just playing chords, or more to it than just playing notes. But rather like there's stories behind it, and that's where story and notes come from. There's story behind the notes. There you guys go. First time I've actually broke it down like that. Um, but I'm gonna play that back. Like, all right, yeah, that's what it means. But I'm super excited to have this guy join me tonight, man. I've been waiting to be able to sit down with him. This is a very fresh conversation. We have we've talked a little bit, but we have not got a chance to really dig into just the reason why he's here. I invited him, obviously, but I'm excited to be able to do that. But before we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and run that intro because we can. So here we go. Okay, so if you like music, I believe you'll like this. Today is sponsored by. We are live. Come on. Change. Come on. Welcome to Story and Notes. Guys, so without further ado, I'm very excited to be able to introduce you guys to, I believe, a new friend of mine,
Yeah.
a guy named Ted. And Ted, if you can, give us a little bit about yourself. Tell us, maybe a bit of where you're from,
Yeah.
social security number, things like that. So, all right.
Yeah, you can edit it out later. Well, I guess you kind of keep it fresh, so I guess we're not going to edit out. But yeah. So yeah, thanks for having me here, though.
Yeah,
That's the
man.
first thing for sure. Yeah. So name's Ted. I guess I'm here kind of because. Well, let me just start with kind of who I am. Basically, like I'm a civil engineer in Kansas City. A Christ follower, a neighbor, a dad of two, a husband of one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty normal dude, I guess. But I do love music, and I'm not a musician, so that puts me in a certain category of like, man, what do I do with that? I want to exercise that. So I'm kind of a creative person in some ways, and so yeah, I'm always trying to figure out what that's gonna look like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's quick and
Okay.
dirty.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
solid, man. So I'm sitting there smiling. I'm smiling because I'm honestly like, I'm excited to meet you. Like, I know I've said that.
Yeah.
I got in here. I was rushing like to get everything set up and stuff. But I've for real been waiting to be able to have a
Cool.
talk with you.
Yeah.
Mainly, I mean, well, I'm not gonna say mainly just because you're a person, but because I'm very interested in the fact that you're not necessarily a musician at this point per se, but you have a love for music. You really
Mhm.
enjoy music, and that's what connected me with you through a friend of ours,
Mhm.
John Sanders,
Mhm.
and then Chad
Yeah.
Bringer so happened to Say, hey, yes,
Yeah.
And so the thing that really got me that John brought up to me was the fact that there's this guy. He said, "Hey, there's this guy that I know that you have to meet." Because I sit here like I'm always talking about, man. Like I believe that at some point Kansas City can be a not bigger than better than, but could be another option at some point for musicians to come to, just the same as Nashville, just the same as Atlanta, just the same as California, New York, and anywhere else you name.
Yeah.
But it takes people beyond the musicians to actually do that. And so, with that being said, tell us a little bit about what actually got you to want to like launch this thing. And then I want you to explain it, what I'm talking about. But this tailgate thing, like seriously, tell me how that idea first happened. Some of the things that went into prepping that and things like that.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we should start by just saying what it is, right?
Yes.
So, what it is a mobile stage in the back of my pickup.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It more detailed than that. It's all battery powered, so I can literally roll and play at the same time. It kind of folds out, kind of engineer style, and then it folds back in, and I can drive away. So the tagline is live music at the drop of a tailgate, because I want it to be that easy. Just drop the tailgate, and we're putting on a show, Wow. So that's kind of what it is. How I got there, there's a long story.
Well,
I know we can't
give me a good amount of it. Like seriously,
I can.
Because
Okay.
My hope is that people that end up watching this that may not be actual musicians but really really enjoy music will find their place within it, because it's way more than just the people that's making the sound. Like seriously.
All right. Well,
so
we'll see.
And because, and talk about that, because you have a certain skill set that actually caused you to be able to do that.
I guess so. So I guess so. It's nothing special, but
Yeah.
okay. Well, okay. So it really, if you can go on my Facebook page or my website, and you'll see this story in a condensed form. But long format here is just like, I was about to marry my wife, trying to figure out how I'm going to propose. Had to figure it out. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to wash her feet, and I'm going to quote some scripture, whatever. And then we go to a wedding, someone else's wedding, and the dude did exactly what I was going to do. Exactly. And he told the story to the whole everybody, right? So my wife's like, that's pretty cool. I'm over there fuming like, I can't believe he stole my idea.
Did he hear it though?
Oh, no, he had no idea. But I'm sitting there at my little table in the corner just like, I cannot believe this, man. So now I got to figure out what to do. Well, I ended up proposing to my wife in a cool way that, it seemed like God orchestrated, because he shut the door on the way I was going to do it, which I later found out Tammy, my wife, would not have been real moved by. And the way I did do it knocked her off her heels or whatever. So, and it was cool. I'll give you the short version, which is she lived up in Prairie Village. I live outside Peculiar, Missouri. I rode a motorcycle at the time. I put the motorcycle in the back of my pickup, drove it up there, or organized a limo to come. I loaded it up with all stuff that meant things to her. I said, "You ready to go, driver?" He said, "Yeah." And I sent him to go pick her up, and she knew I was going to pick her up, but she didn't know a limo was coming. Wow. And so he goes out, picks her up. I hop on my motorcycle and hightail it home, all the way to Peculiar. Forgot the gas, that I didn't have enough gas. I barely made it. I thought I was going to run out of gas. That was the one thing that would ruin my plan. But made it home, ran a half mile over to a field, an alfalfa field, and pulled out all the stops, and I was sitting on a hay bale in the middle of the field. She gets picked up by the limo, drives her, he knew where to go, and drives her out to the field, and dropped her off right in the field, and I proposed to her in the middle of that field. That was the same field where I realized I was going to marry her,
Whoa.
like a year before or something like that.
Wow.
So, okay, so that's our field, that alfalfa field on 235th Street in outside Peculiar, Missouri.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to have a cool reunion, or not reunion, annual, like, anniversary, thank you. Yeah. I was like, oh, I want a candlelight dinner in that field. How am I going to do that? I'll stick a picnic table in the back of my pickup, and we'll picnic in the back of the truck.
Whoa.
And it worked like a charm. Like, that picnic table fit in there just perfect. Man, we had candlelight on the tailgate. It was so wonderful. And I was like, how has no one stuck a picnic table in the back of a pickup truck before? And to this day, I still, and that was 12 and a half years ago, I have still never seen anyone put a picnic table in the back of a pickup. I'm sure someone's doing it somewhere, but I've never seen it. So that just got my juices flowing when I was like, wow, what else could I do here? How could I build something else in the back of this pickup? And one thing led to another, and I started just building stuff, like, what if I just did this? What if I did that? And I wasn't even thinking stage or music at the time. I was just like thinking like camping or tailgating or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it hit me one day after a couple trial and error things. I was like, oh, what if this is a stage? And I was just like, yep, that's what it's going to be. And I just moved forward with that because it just seemed like the right thing to do. So there you go. I hope that was condensed enough.
Dude, it's funny. I'm sitting here like, man, this would be a great song. Like, this would be great.
There's probably a
like,
song in there,
a great story for a song.
Yeah.
So, when you did it, how long ago was that you actually built the stage?
I mean, it was over the course of a year or two, trying this, trying that. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I probably had a pretty solid prototype that was working maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, and it's set up to where, I mean, obviously it's mobile, so you can essentially go, I mean, pretty much anywhere that the truck
Yeah.
can make it.
Oh, if I can get my truck there,
You can get there.
it can happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, when you ended up doing it, what was your first person that you had on there? Was that just a friend or something that you ended up calling to do?
Yeah, it's probably Chad Rader.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Chad Rader is a mutual friend here that we just discovered we have, but rock solid brother in Christ, just awesome brother. I just love Rader. So yeah, he was my first guinea pig for sure.
Okay.
And he's my main guy. I mean, I partner with other musicians for sure, but Rader's like, if I want to try something new, I'm like, Rader, let's try something.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, and he's always game,
Yeah. Now, what's because as far as like power consumption, what's your power consumption availability for?
Yeah.
This rig.
I mean, I don't know all the technical jargon, but there was kind of two models I could go. I could say I'm going to build a big battery somehow and plug everything into it, or I can just get equipment that's got its own batteries in it. I don't know which is the better way. If I had unlimited money, I'd probably buy one big battery or build a big battery, plug everything into it, because then you could use you're unlimited in what equipment you could use. But I don't have unlimited money, so I was trying to find kind of affordable ways to get going, and so I just bought battery-powered equipment, and I've upgraded from the first round of equipment purchases, and so I've got basically I have 2 PAs, battery-powered, coming off a 6-channel mixer.
Yeah.
I've got an external battery that runs that. I've got a battery-powered floor monitor, which is really a guitar amp, but I use it as a floor monitor. Yeah. So it's got its own power. And if someone wants to run keyboard, pedals, whatever, I've got that same battery that runs the mixer, plug into that, because it's got an AC 110 outlet, and so I can plug into that, and we'd never run out of battery.
That's wild.
We'd done 2-hour show or whatever, and yeah.
I'm intrigued just because I feel like I've seen a lot of stuff creatively speaking, like musicians do in order to make stuff happen, but I don't know why I've never seen that. So
I don't know either.
I don't know why.
Because the technology's everywhere. Everyone's got
Yeah.
lithium-ion batteries.
Yeah.
Everywhere. They're easy, and they're relatively cheap, and a lot of this equipment doesn't draw that much power.
Yeah. Yeah.
My limitation is bass.
Okay.
I mean, you want to run bass, you just need power.
Yeah.
More than I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you? Well, what about if they ran, just like well, I guess the same thing. I was gonna say like an acoustic bass situation. Have you ever had anybody run like acoustic bass through maybe a PA?
You mean like an acoustic bass guitar? No, never tried it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
I don't actually have one here, surprisingly. All the stuff around, but a friend of mine, he comes around.
Yeah.
An acoustic bass, and it's a different, it's a different thing. I mean, it's meant to be more of a campfire type of a level of bass or whatever.
It's worth a shot. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're producing bass sounds, you're drawing more current.
Yeah.
No matter if it's coming from an acoustic bass guitar or a drum, Yeah, and so like John Sanders, he knows how to tune, right? I mean, he does this stuff all the time, and he's experienced. So when he gets onto my system, he'll go put up his ear right up to the speaker and hit strings and listen for things and adjust knobs until he gets it just where he wants it. And I know part of the reason he has to do that is because if we overdrive those speakers with too much bass in his vocals or his guitar, he'll hear that. I don't even know. I forget what you call it. There's a technical term for it, but you'll hear that.
So are you okay? So what would be the fix to that? The fix would be just more power. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And that would be maybe you said like kind of maybe a separate battery.
Yeah, you could probably do like a couple deep cells, or you could do like build a miniature Tesla battery. You can do that. There's a lot of ways to do it. But you know what? It makes it sound like there's like a big limitation. Since I'm doing mostly like acoustic sets with a singer and a guitar, it's really not an issue because it sounds good. I bought good stuff now.
Yeah. Okay.
I used to run into more problems. Now I got good stuff, so it sounds good.
So when is the next thing that you have coming up as far as where is it located?
Oh yeah, events and stuff.
Time-wise and stuff like that.
Let's see. I guess the next one is. You ever heard of Barefoot Mission by chance? It's a ministry by a gal from OP Church.
Okay.
It's actually in Olathe, but she has this ministry along with some others up in KCK, and they just bring coffee and life and support to a community that needs it up there.
Okay.
And it's like a source of life in the midst of a bunch of broken stuff up there. So it's like really cool. So anyways, she's got her first like fundraiser for that. It's kind of a new ministry.
Okay.
And so I'll bring the music to that. That's this Sunday, I think 4 to 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Nick Nave is a well-known local musician be playing.
Okay.
So that'd be super fun.
Where's that located?
I actually don't know the address offhand. I just know it's up in KCK.
If you can, share with me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool, man. And so you, how did you get connected
with Taylor, this gal running the mission? She knew. Is that how it happened? I think she knew Raider.
Okay.
Somehow.
Yeah. Wow.
And so somehow through that, we got connected. Because I've done a few gigs over at at her church when they throw like an outdoor, like bonfire party or whatever, like right there on 119th. She'll have us come out and bring the tunes. Okay. We had a cool little worship set here just a couple weeks ago in their backyard.
Goodness,
Raider was up there bringing it. It was so cool. Yeah, it was so fun.
So cool, man. Goodness. I'm just thinking of like, so we, over at our, I know Raider from church.
Yeah.
And, but I'm out in Edgerton, so we're
wow,
the country cousins.
Okay, so, like sister church kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, there's 4 campuses. There's Shawnee, which is the original campus.
Yeah.
In Edgerton, is
Wow.
the second, and then Raytown, and then KCK.
Okay.
And we are all we mix with everybody as far as I may play. Like I just played in Shawnee tonight.
Yeah.
So you never it's always something different.
Yeah.
But we're mainly attending in Edgerton.
Okay.
And one of our things that we're wanting to do this year is like find ways to actually do exactly that. So like take music out, into the public.
Yeah.
And so like it's just cool to like hear, that this is already happening. Like there's somebody that's
It is
already,
possible. Yeah.
going through the trial and error.
Yeah.
Of like, that doesn't work. And this does.
And if I can figure something out that halfway works,
Yeah.
you can definitely figure it out. I mean,
Well,
like,
maybe, but that leads me to my next question. This thing, you said that you are a civil engineer.
Mm-hmm.
In as layman terms as possible,
Yeah.
could you explain a little bit?
Oh, it's easy. Yeah. I mean, we push dirt, we build bridges, we pave.
Okay.
I mean, I don't do any of that. I'm the engineer side, but the contractors that build our jobs, that's what they do. So yeah, I mean, I was out at 119th and I-35, the interchange construction here that happened. I was out there every day for the whole duration of that project, all day long.
So do you do CAD?
I do office stuff. I design, but more and more as my career goes, I'm more in the field, like I was on 119th. So.
You prefer it in the field?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always jump to opportunities to get outside, which, is telling that I just like putting the music out there too,
Yeah. I asked because I don't know anything about civil engineering, but I do have a relative that done that.
Yeah.
She's been in there forever.
I mean, in like by definition, it's like any engineering project that serves the public.
Okay.
So airports, bridges, highways, city streets, sanitary, storm, sewer systems, whatever, all that stuff. Yeah.
That's wild. And so how long have you been involved in that?
My whole career, so 23 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is that do you feel like some of that played into, I guess, that, because that's engineering, like regardless of.
Yeah, there's an engineering mindset
Yeah.
that pretty much all engineers have. They just think of things in 3 dimensions and are able to kind of like just picture how things will fit together and a function. So yeah, well, but I don't think it came from my civil engineering as much as it came from Legos. I mean, I was just a Lego kid.
Okay.
I was just always building stuff and like suspension systems on cars or whatever, I mean, just how to make it steer or how to put a motor on it. So Legos were the best source of education I think I ever got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Oh yeah.
That's cool to hear,
My
man.
kids are like following my path too, so
Okay.
I'm excited about that.
So get your kids Lego.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or anything similar that's
Yeah.
really going to give them opportunities to design and build something. Yeah.
That's cool, man. I have because actually a cousin son who happens to be the nephew of the civil engineer.
Yeah.
Cousin, and he's always loved Legos.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because now I'm like, man, I wish I would have, I wouldn't have thrown those Legos around.
Yeah, but it's not for everybody. I mean, everybody's different, You're a music guy, and so you found your path, so everybody's different.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So, do you, because of that experience with civil engineering, do you find yourself actually building other things outside of, besides the town thing, like
Yeah.
yourself doing that?
Yeah, for sure,
What else?
Well, I mean, I'm out there in Peculiar, so it's I'm outside of Peculiar. So we try to live like this kind of homesteading kind of lifestyle, with little farm or whatever. We only got 5 acres, but it gives me opportunities to build some stuff there, maybe a chicken coop or something like that. Or we also like camping. So just recently, I finished building it's called an Overland trailer.
Okay.
You ever heard that term?
No, I have not.
Overland trailer's basically a camping trailer that just hauls all your gear. It's not what you live in. It's not like, so picture it behind a Jeep, not behind a dually, and when you get to your spot, it can do whatever you built it to do. So a lot of people, it just hauls their gear and they put a rooftop tent on it, and when they get to their spot, they just pop up the rooftop tent and they got a place to sleep and all their gear's stashed away in drawers or doors or slide outs or whatever. I built mine in a kind of fun way, I think, that has worked, luckily, where the base of it, it's all compact when I drive.
Yeah.
When I get there, I crank the top up, and there's a rooftop tent up there, and it's way up there when you crank it up, and then it pops open, and I got a king-size mattress up there, right? But that's a purchased product. I didn't design that.
Okay.
Well, I designed the trailer part, so I designed the part that just lifts up. It's just telescopes out of 4 supports, and has a scissor jack in the middle that lifts it with a impact wrench or a screw gun or whatever. And then the bottom, it hauls all your gear while you're driving, but once you're all lifted up and everything, it turns into a picnic table.
Wow.
So now I got a picnic table in the shade no matter where I pull this thing.
What?
So it's really fun, and I've never seen anyone else do it.
Show me some pictures, man.
Oh, it's so fun. We've been to Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa with it, and this is just 1 year using it. So we're gonna do another one here in October. So it's super fun.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so with you doing this tailgate thing, what's some of your, I guess, like hopes? Not necessarily just hopes, but even maybe some plans that you may have to like be able to kind of like where do you hope to see tailgate thing end up going?
I would probably have a different answer 2 years ago than I would a year ago than maybe I do today.
Yeah.
And I think that goes to show you I don't know what I'm doing. Right? I swear to God.
Hey, that's my favorite.
Like, I think I do.
Not to cut you off, but that literally is my favorite thing to say. So, like,
Yeah.
I've been in business full time since 2018. I've been in business legally since 2016.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And, hey, government. But, like, since 2018, full time. And through that, because I deal with a whole lot of corporate clients and things like that, one thing that I've found out and I've learned, and I speak to youth and stuff at different engagements and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the number one things I always say is, hey, nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm completely convinced at this point that
Yeah.
no matter where you go, whatever it is, like everybody's still in that process of,
That's good.
Figuring it out. And so
Yeah.
it helps, like, by you saying that, by youth hearing that, it helps them take away that, like, oh man, I gotta have it all figured out before I ever start to try to do whatever this thing is. And so, sorry to.
No, it's great, and we always think everybody else knows more, and like, well, I could never do it because look, they're doing it already, and they must know what they're doing. And yeah, it's actually everyone's out there kind of making it up as they go, But also the good news is someone knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it ain't me and it ain't you, right?
Absolutely.
So God knows what's going to happen, and he's working, right? And our challenge is just to like try to follow along and not like get out in front of him. That's one of my biggest struggles, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like, I totally know what's going to happen, and I might step out in front. And then I'll have to kind of retreat a little bit and be like, I guess that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
So, but, so I still haven't answered your question. What do I think or what do I want to happen?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I just answered it as best I could for now, I'd say I would love to start or to be a part of a culture of live music in Peculiar, and then maybe even around Peculiar, and maybe bigger than that. Because I really do think music is a gift. 100%. I believe that down to my core. Like, God did not have to make music, but he chose to, and humans are the only ones that can even appreciate it and know what it's about, So, like, this is really special, and it takes people to places that you can't do with words or any other way, right? So that's a gift. That's an incredible gift, and I feel super blessed to be able to like engage with it. And everybody else gets that chance too, but not as many people have discovered that yet.
Yeah.
So if I can take it, the music, to people in ways that they haven't seen before. Maybe that plays a part in building a culture where it just blows up and it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so. I'm on the musician side, but seriously, I share that passion so much more. I think now, and I'm not old, but I'm older now.
Mm-hmm.
But I share that passion so much more than like needing to be the guy that's playing the song. Like I love playing, enjoy it. I love playing live. But I care so much about that, like the fact of being able to like help push out to where people can get the chance to like hear more music, just in
Mm-hmm.
general, but especially in a live setting. To me, there's
Nope.
nothing like, and
Not
I
at all.
love the behind the scenes production of it. Like I love that
Yeah.
part of it. But man, there's nothing like actually hearing a vocal or a
Yeah.
verse or hearing a chord in person. Like it's
Yeah.
just nothing like it.
Yeah.
And so, and I think so much of it is that more of this in general. So like, like we were just talking about, like none of us know what we're doing. Like we're in the process of figuring out. I've been in music, forever, but it's still so much like to learn in different processes. And what I've found, pretty much in anything that I've learned stuff about, whether that's producing music, whatever, even with the video stuff, is that as you do it, so as you go, like as you get to that next, as you just working,
Mm-hmm.
a next door appear in front of you, for you to walk through that.
Absolutely.
As you go forward. So
Yeah.
it's like these conversations. It's like we may sit here and may not necessarily have an exact plan of
Right.
action. Like, hey, when we sit here, we're going to plan this thing out. We're going to talk about this, but rather just the act of actually having these conversations. There's different ideas that start to, be birthed out of that.
Oh, I
And it
totally
may
agree.
Be directly through us.
Yeah.
But it may even be somebody that's just viewing it.
Yeah, you
now,
can't control that.
Later, yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
But you got to get moving. You got to start talking to people. You got to
Yes.
try stuff.
Good.
Because isn't there scripture about that?
Yes.
Like you got to put
Yeah.
your foot down,
Yeah.
and He'll direct it.
Yeah. Over and over. I mean, you see, Jesus telling people, "Hey, pick up your mat." Well, it's like there's this directive of like, "Hey, just go, like
Yeah.
move."
Yeah.
And I think the importance of that is like that takes trust. So there's a certain amount of like trust of like,
Yeah.
hey man, I don't know exactly where this thing is gonna lead, and it's scary, and it may, it could fail, but even if it fail, like it doesn't matter, like
Yeah.
any of that. And I think a lot of it really does come down to like humility. So like I don't mind like looking like a fool. So like I didn't want to do this podcast initially, mainly because I didn't want to have this thing that I had to like do. Like I didn't want it to be to where like, cause I'm doing video professionally all the time.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to like have an extra thing to
Yeah.
do of like having to edit these videos and do
Yeah.
all this. And I'm like, man, I don't want to start it because if I start it, then I have to keep going. But I got to the point where it's like, man, hey, start.
Yeah.
If I don't keep going, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If I miss a week, it is what it is, man. Like that whole thought of like, and I'm hoping that anybody that's watching this will pick that up, whether you're a musician or not, or even if you want to be a musician, is that it's so much more simpler than what you may think that it is. Now, and what I mean by that, not saying like it doesn't take time to learn an instrument, things like that, but it's so much more simpler. And the people that really inspire you essentially gets there just by spending time. If you want to do something bad enough,
Yeah.
you'll end up doing it. If you want to do something bad
Yep.
enough, you'll do it.
Yeah, and that kind of brings up that it better be a legit passion, and you got to do some soul searching because you can want it to be a passion and it not be one, and then it'll burn out,
Yeah.
and And sometimes I wonder, like, God, is music enough of a passion for me to pursue this? Kind of like you're talking about with the podcasting. And so far, it definitely is. But sometimes I check myself like, but I'm not a musician, so what am I doing here? I'm out of my league. And I still feel that a lot. So that's just a real thing. You always wrestling with it. But you can't argue that I love music because, like, oh my gosh. I mean,
Okay.
some people, you ask them their favorite music or whatever, and they'll just say, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just listen to what's on the radio. There's that kind of person. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that kind of person. And there's a person where they're like, oh, you got to hear this CD.
Yeah.
Oh, man, let me tell you about that. And so I got to give a little bit of thing to my dad and to Colorado and my upbringing out there, because the earliest music memory I have that's just etched into my brain forever, sitting in the back of our brown CJ5, bouncing through the Rockies, listening to John Denver.
Hey.
Country Road, Take Me Home.
Hey.
Like it was yesterday, man. I was probably 8 years old. I don't know.
Man.
Yeah. So
that's wild too. So did you grow up in more of a in a rural area?
no, I mean, no, I was in a subdivision in Arvada, Colorado.
So that's pretty.
But we were a Rocky Mountain family, so we'd go up in the Rockies every weekend or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's cool because do you feel like that song actually almost like led you to living where you live now, partially, I guess, in a sense of like that, the countryside?
It's an interesting question. That's a really interesting question. I just say that because I had like an obsession with gravel roads in college.
That's wild.
When I went to Rolla in the middle of Missouri, there's a lot of gravel roads around. And if I was studying for an exam, I couldn't wait till it was over. I could get in my van. I wish it was a truck, but and drive out in the middle of the Ozarks on a gravel road. I would just never be happier. I mean, it was just so there is something. You hit on something there. There's definitely something to that, and it would be interesting to do some kind of a study and figure out if it came from that song.
Well, that's why and I asked that question. I've never had that question. But I asked that question because I find, even for myself, like, even though, like, yes, I'm a musician, but like I really, really enjoy music. So like I have a extremely eclectic taste, and that song does that for me. So like,
that song does?
That song does that for me. And so
where'd that come from?
That's why I started laughing though.
Yeah.
And so like I didn't grow up in any of that at all.
Yeah.
But it's wild because when I hear that song, literally that's what I feel. That's where I want to be. And so like
he had a way.
And I'm telling you, it's pretty wild to think about. So like I have a relative, a cousin of mine that we write together. Neither one of us, we both grew up in an inner city area.
Okay.
And but we both are country lovers. Like love country music, love folk music, love bluegrass, all that. And the funny thing is that the reason why I can't say why we love it, but what we really love about it, or what it does for us, is that it really does put us in this place. And so like when we listen to it, it's like I literally see where that is, I feel where that is, I smell where that is. As weird as that sound,
no, not at all.
That's the cool thing about music, man.
Yeah.
And so like with all of this stuff happening, like that's my hope, is that we can help bring more of that to where it wouldn't necessarily be just songs from back then, but even now, man, where there are local artists that they hadn't written those songs yet because they may not necessarily feel like they have a platform per se to even have the inspiration. The conversation we just had, you explaining that about how you propose to your wife, I'm sitting here like, dude, this is a song. The description of it, and I don't want to say, hey, this is a country song just because you saw it from like country.
Yeah.
But I'm immediately like, man, this is a country song, right?
That's cool.
And so the descriptiveness of it, and then, obviously the location, area, and all that.
Yeah.
But the descriptiveness of it is just a story that it's like, man, this, somebody else hear this, we hear this, I go back and listen to it. It's like, dude, this is an actual song. And that very well can be a song that does that same thing that John Denver's song did for you. for the next
I
young
guess so.
guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so it's just
Mhm.
it's wild to think about, man. Ah,
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah.
That's pretty
So
fun.
I'm sitting there. I'm trying to make sure that I ain't missing. I was slacking on making sure I'm checking questions here while we're on Facebook. Let's see. I have okay, so tell me this. What was your first what if you don't mind me asking, you're a guy so I can ask how old
Mhm.
you are.
Oh yeah, 46.
Okay. So 46, that would have meant that you're a 90s kid.
Yeah.
Essentially, I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
And so what was the first, I would say, can I say CD? Nah, I used cassettes probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
was the first cassette that you owned? Like, you personally owned?
That I personally owned. I think the first one I went out and bought was Appetite for Destruction, Guns N'
Okay.
Roses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was mooching off my sister's tapes. She's 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
I was mooching off her Michael Jackson and whatever else. But when I went and bought my own stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, it was Guns N' Roses.
Okay. Okay.
That CD is probably, in my opinion, the best CD or whatever
Yeah.
album
Yeah.
that's ever been created.
Okay. And you, what was it about Guns N' Roses that you really
Oh man,
enjoyed?
those guys were original.
Yeah.
I mean, they were creating something brand new, and it's still to me like untouchable. I mean, Slash, come on. I mean, Slash is still cool today,
Yeah.
and this was back then, and Axl was cool back then.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just off the charts, and they're just like, it was just aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just raw,
Yeah.
and it was artistic.
It's wild 'cause
Artistic, man.
Axel still, I don't know if he's like drinking, like he's a vegan and he's drinking, from the fountain of youth or whatever. But
Yeah.
dude, he seems exactly the same pretty much.
I mean, his vocal cords aren't what they
Yeah.
were, but how
Yeah,
could they be?
but
I mean,
yeah,
his voice, that was another thing,
Yeah.
but geez, there was a lot of things that went in making them one of a kind,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, man. Goodness. Did you ever
Dude,
go
the
see him
guitar
live?
solo in Sweet Child of Mine, I know everyone can do it today, but
Yeah,
back
at the
then,
time.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
At the time.
Yeah, sorry.
Was that did you go see him live ever? That'd been good.
I don't think I ever had the chance to do that or made the chance. No, I mean, I was young enough to where I didn't like have a car or anything. I was just a kid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would have been a little bit too rough of a of a concert for me at that age.
Wasn't ready for it.
No.
Yeah.
That said, I did go see Ozzy Osbourne, so
Did you
saying
really?
something. Oh yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a high school kid, watching Ozzy Osbourne up there, he's a legend.
Where'd you go see him?
Well, I was in Ohio, so whatever the outdoor amphitheater was there, I forget the name of it now.
Wow.
I lived there from 10 till through high school and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so did work bring you here to Kansas?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Rolla for school. That brought me into the state of Missouri, and the Ozarks became my home, so I just didn't want to go too far, and
Yeah.
got a job here in Kansas City. Still
Okay.
same job I'm at today, basically.
Okay. So, and you went to college for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Which
Yeah.
you probably have to, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll ever change. I mean, college is becoming, I don't know, maybe less essential.
Yeah.
But I
Did-
think that'll stay the same.
Did you know that that's what you wanted to do when you were in high school?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's wild.
Well,
man.
the Legos.
That's
I had the
so
Legos.
wild.
I had adults telling me you're going to be an engineer.
Yeah.
Done. Okay.
Dang.
That's what I'm doing.
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you still enjoy it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
man.
Get outside, build
Yeah.
something, kick dirt, solve problems, help
Yeah.
people figure it out.
That's
Love it.
wild, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
I get paid to do it, too.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's cool, man. So when you had let's see. Okay, hold on, my wife. I'm asking her. She said my sound had sounded weird. I'm trying to see if I fix it. Did this is what I love about this podcast. I can text and stuff. Yeah. Let's see. That's crazy. That's what I was telling you earlier. Like, man, I'm gonna do like I got some time now, but I'm gonna do like a week's worth of just running nothing but tests on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But so the thing that interests me about the music part of it, the reason why I asked what was your first project, um, everybody's is different, and a lot of the times it has something to do with kind of where what was the thing around that time, and what did it feel like, and that's some of what I was meaning by like music takes you to a certain place. Certain music
Yeah.
takes you to a certain place.
Yeah.
And I was born in '87. But the wild thing is that when I listen to some of the older stuff from back then,
Yeah.
I literally feel like I'm sure that that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I'm positive.
Like you're a old soul as it relates
I'm
to
sure
relating to
that's
that
what it
music.
felt like, man. Like
Yeah.
Summer '69, that's one of my favorite songs
Yeah.
ever. And like so, just the descriptiveness of I got my first 6 string,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
bought it at the 5 and dime. Like I'm literally feeling like that's what I mean. That's
Yeah.
me, man.
That's
I'm
me.
fine.
That's right. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
hold on, let's see, they still sending. That's hilarious. Oh wow. Okay, it's working better.
Cool.
All right, thank you guys. But I also asked this question. It's a little different for you. Your first experience was John Denver, and it's funny you answered that question. Did you watch another episode where you heard somebody answer that, or like say my first? That's wild.
No,
So
I saw the John Sanders
yeah,
one.
that's
the one
one.
I
So
watched.
that's one of the questions that I actually like to ask. Is like, what's your first musical memory? Like the first time
Oh,
that
yeah.
a song really,
Yeah.
really, struck a chord with you. Do you
Yeah.
have any songs now where you are that really take you to that place, like that place of I don't want to necessarily say just wonder, but like that place of like peace, obviously, peace, joy.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. You ever heard of Josh
Girls.
Garrels? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's not my kind of music
Mhm.
generally,
Mm.
but
Ish.
I don't. It's a whole nother story. But I got a little nudge in some time in Scripture out of nowhere
Yeah.
that said, "Go listen and do a deep dive on Josh Garrels,"
Whoa.
and that was like I don't know, 6 months ago, 4 months ago, something like
Yeah.
that. So since then, I've been like listening to podcasts from him and stuff like that, and I knew I liked him.
Yeah.
I remember listening to him talk on a couple different occasions, and man, the things he said, I was just tracking,
Yeah.
tracking.
Yeah.
So I had some history with knowing who he was, but
Yeah. I
out
didn't
of
know
nowhere
that.
that came out.
I didn't know he had a podcast.
He has a podcast?
Did you say that?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I was listening to podcasts that he
Oh,
was
okay.
a guest on.
Okay,
So I just
okay.
listened
Yeah.
to him talk.
Yeah.
And it turns out, I mean, I won't bore you with the story, but it turns out a lot of things about his current life are very parallel to mine.
Whoa.
And so I actually reached out to him on Facebook
Yeah.
and just said, hey, quick story, this is what's going on, not sure what to do with it. I prayed about it one day and came to the conclusion, I guess I'll ask him if I can play his music before and after my concerts. Just stream it.
Yeah.
And it took him a while, but he got back to me and he
What?
said, yeah, do it. So that's cool. Yeah, he's a
Wow, man, that's so cool.
good dude. Yeah, so what's your connection to him?
Well, I don't have any besides like I love his music.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to his music. A friend of mine, Pete Kerwin. I don't know if you met Pete Kerwin. Gotta connect y'all, man. Very just awesome dude in the faith.
Yeah.
But he put me on to Josh Garros.
Yeah.
Because we have Pete and I, like, we come from a different upbringing, but we both have similar tastes in certain things musically. Like
Yeah.
I could hear something and be like, all right, I already know Pete is gonna love this, or he could hear something. And Josh Garros happened to be one of those people. Another people. He kind of, I think, stylistically, kind of reminds me of sort of like some of Gunger ish. I don't know if you know who Gunger is or
I'm
not.
not. No, I've heard
So
the name,
beautiful
but I don't
things.
know. Okay,
You
yeah, I know that.
you
Yeah.
make beautiful things. I almost said beautiful people. Uh,
That too.
but like very similar stylistically, just kind of that. Because it ain't necessarily something that you. It ain't something you're gonna listen to while you're working out.
No.
But
No.
it's definitely, man, has such a. The dude really like sits in where he sits in. Like he really, this guy is really sitting in front of God, in
Yeah,
the
and I
sense of
love
like
his
how he,
perspective on just like what making music is about and how it should
yeah.
work too. You should listen into
I
like
need to,
he's
man.
got interesting
What
perspectives
was
just
that
on like
on
how
though?
it should be funded. I mean, it's one of the 6 podcasts I listened to him being interviewed on, so I don't know which one it was, but
Yeah,
in one of them at least he
yeah.
describes the idea of, and this is before the current music funding systems
Hmm.
of streaming music and everything.
Yeah.
But he was always wanting to say like, gosh, I feel like if you're getting paid for the product,
Mm-hmm.
then the musician is pressured to put out a hit.
Wow.
And a musician's going to make different decisions about what he puts out if that's the goal.
Wow.
But if a musician is just
Wow.
kind of funded, just overarching
Dude, come
funding
on.
available,
Come
he's
on.
got creativity.
Come on,
And he's
man.
not going to be judged on how hit worthy that song is. He's going to be creative. And that's the whole
I need
goal.
to listen to this guy. That's it. Like
Yeah.
before we got into this conversation, and I don't know if you caught it, but I had mentioned how I don't do music for a living.
Yeah.
And really the main reason that is for that exact thing. So like Pete and I, man, I can't wait till you guys meet. But we write a lot of music together. So we're
Wow.
always down here, right here in this space,
Yeah.
writing songs together. And I mean, it could be anything stylistically. We may do a country song one day. Next day it may be, a Christmas song. The next day it may be, a rock song. Next day,
Cool.
And so, but that is the thing. Like we absolutely enjoy being able to make music without the pressure of having to make money
Yeah.
with doing it. But that approach, like Josh Garrels, with hearing that, man, I feel like we'd actually get so much more good music if like whoever is a fan of whatever artist that it was looked at it as more of a almost like I don't know if you've heard of what's the name of it? Basically, like it's like online subscriptions. So like you subscribe to certain.
I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
you subscribe to certain creators
Yeah,
or
you
creatives.
just fund what they do.
Exactly.
And you get perks, but
Yep.
you also just support them and
Yep.
what they're trying to do. Yeah, I'm with
And
you.
then in that way, they're able to create freely in a
Yeah.
way to where it's like, and to me, it's actually cooler. So I have my favorite band, period, is Future Forestry. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Future
Yeah,
what?
Future of Forestry.
Okay.
I'm gonna share them with you.
Interesting.
But the main guy in this group, guy named Eric Alyoung, and he just moved from Colorado, so he had was from San Diego, and then moved to Colorado for some years, and then moved back.
Yeah.
But he's like the main lead guy on it. Does the write a lot of the writing and producing and stuff. But like the way that he creates is similar. I don't necessarily know how his stuff is set up as far as how he's funded through it,
Yeah.
but his approach is very, very similar in that to where it's like, and you can hear it, man. Like you can really hear
Yeah.
that this guy is making music that he actually wants to make versus making music because it's like, all right, I have to make a hit or
Yeah.
my family ain't gonna eat,
Yeah.
and which I'm a fan of. There are hit records out there that's
I
like,
get
hey,
it.
it's a
There's
hit
value in
record,
that, too.
yeah, but
It's just
man,
not the only way to do things.
yes,
Yeah.
goodness, I'm gonna have to look that up, dude.
Yeah.
And you said Josh Garrels.
Yeah, it'd be fun to like see your playlist, and
Yes.
share different stuff.
Are you Spotify or Apple Music, or both?
I guess neither. I think I kind of resist Spotify. You know how we were talking about resisting the norm?
Hilarious. Yeah,
I like
man.
how Spotify
That's
takes
funny,
over
dude.
things.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever used Apple Music?
No, I'm a Droid guy.
Oh, okay. No, that's which is cool. You know, I can understand. Which I mean is Apple here, but right behind you is a PC.
Okay.
And so I actually do all of my
I'm an
actual
engineer,
work
you know?
on a PC.
Do you?
But
Okay.
I
So
asked that.
that's skill.
Yeah.
Be able to work in both.
So I initially started with PC. Started with PC, and I had moved to musically everything was PC for me.
Yeah.
Video was PC, and then I had ended up there was some software on Mac that I wanted that I had seen another musician have while I was out in Colorado,
Oh yeah.
and I'm like, man, I have to have that software,
Yeah.
and so I had to go in and buy a
Cool.
Mac.
Yeah.
But out of that, man, like for years, that's what it's been. And for years, I'd used the Mac to edit video and stuff like that. But man, that PC is blowing this out of the water. Like it's just, price wise for it, heck of a lot cost effective,
Yeah.
and just way more power in that PC than it is in this MacBook. But man, I was just thinking, what was I saying?
Well,
thinking
you're
about-
asking me Amazon.
Oh yeah. The reason I asked about Apple
Spotify
Music
or Apple,
is, man, they got, and not like obviously if you ain't got it, you ain't got it, but they've done something super cool on there to where the way that they've organized their music is definitely fans of music like dream. So like they have different categories to where it'll say behind the boards, and so like within that section you get tons of these different producers, engineers, songwriters, musicians. So like let's just say
Wow.
that, hey, Slash,
Yeah.
pull up Slash, and then it'll literally have all the songs that he's played guitar on under a playlist. And so
Wow.
like it gives you this in-depth way of being
Yeah.
able to like, really
Yeah,
hear
that's-
like, dang,
Droid
I didn't know
doesn't
he
have
was on
that.
that song, And so yeah, man, if you ever,
Huh.
if you ever
Cool.
come to the dark side, then you but yeah, man.
Don't
So
hold your breath. But
yeah.
yeah.
But all right, so coming up you got the next gig, and what's the date again? Can you share that with us?
It's this Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. Barefoot Mission. Just
Yeah.
look up Barefoot Mission. Google
Okay.
Barefoot Mission. Her fundraiser, I'm sure, will pop up there. And then I'm doing a men's retreat in a couple weekends after that. That's on the weekend of like the 22nd, 23rd.
Okay. Where's that
Just south of Lewisburg.
Okay.
So I used to go to be part of the Heartland ecosystem, Heartland Community Church in Olathe,
Mm-hmm.
and Man Time is something I've been a big part of for years
Yeah,
out of
man.
there. And now I don't attend there anymore.
Mhm.
We're trying to do a different thing in Peculiar, but I still love those guys and love the whole deal. So I'll probably be going to Man Time forever. So yeah, it's called Man Time, and anybody can go to that.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll be.
Yeah. Do you got
Having
anything
fun.
booked for October 9th? And I'm asking them on live on the podcast.
I'm gonna be out of town.
Oh man,
Isn't it like the?
that's
Is
What
that
is it?
well? That's a weekday though, isn't it?
actually October 8th, Saturday,
Is
October
it
8th.
Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm out of town that
Are
weekend.
you dang?
Yeah.
Man.
What do you got? What do you think?
So there's this thing called Over the Edge, and actually this is the second year. So there's an organization that I work with, I do video stuff for and things like that, called Restoration House. And so Restoration House,
Heard
and
of that.
they're right out there, like they're very
Where?
close to Peculiar. I mean, very very close.
Yeah, that's probably
they're
what
out
I've
in
heard of.
Harrison.
Harrisonville?
Yeah, Harrisonville. But they have homes for women who are survivors of human trafficking.
Wow.
And they do this thing that they started last year called Over the Edge, where basically there's this event to where they have people come out, and then people donate to be able to go over the edge, to go down the building. It's like 150,
Okay,
feet
cool.
foot building or whatever.
Yeah.
And backwards, so they
Yeah,
rappel down
rappel on
it.
down.
Yeah, I did it. I'm not that type of person that would do anything like that.
Yeah.
But I ended up going down. But I asked that because they do it every year, and they have live music, so they have a time of live music.
Yeah.
But with there's not like much of a set thing for it at this point in time.
Yeah.
And so, man, I definitely like to end up plugging you in with that at some point, and even if next year or some other time, or whatever, for because that would be I think that would be a cool connect point.
I love finding out when other people are doing
Yeah.
cool stuff.
Yeah.
Especially if they happen to be near me. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things is just networking with people who are doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I love sitting right here right now.
Yeah, man.
Because it's like, you're not like me in what you do, what you produce, what your product is, or whatever. But you're like me in the sense that you're like, I'm just gonna do it because I love it.
Yeah, man.
It might not work, it might, but I'm just gonna take a leap. And so starting a podcast, that's just an entrepreneurial type of thing to do. And I'm just a big fan of that, and I relate to someone who wants to do stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
So it's just fun to sit here and talk and share ideas and just network with you. It's
Yeah,
really fun.
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. So I definitely want to end up having you come back.
Yeah. Okay.
And then like, of course, and this goes without saying, but we have to, man, we gotta connect.
Yeah.
Outside of this, I really want to
There's
connect.
too many people doing too many things not to
Yeah.
connect some dots.
And you happen to know two very, very cool guys that I
Yeah.
happen to know. And I've known Chad. How long have I known Chad? I think I've known Chad for maybe about 8 years, man. About 8 years. And then I've known John for probably 5 or 6.
I was actually curious how you knew John. I know there's some story with the pawn shop.
Yeah. So I used to work at the pawn shop, the Olathe Trading Post.
Where his guitar came from?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I used to
Okay.
work there. Yep. I used to work at the pawn shop.
And so he just came in one day?
Yeah, we met through the pawn shop.
And
so.
you were so you were a music guy, so you probably connected like that. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
starting to make a little
So
more sense.
yeah,
now.
man. Yep. So all that.
Yeah, John's awesome.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, musically, he's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
But just as a guy.
As a good.
And he's led this life where he's like put kids out in the world, and he's got a really cool story. He's pursued music his whole life. I just really
Which is
respect
so
the guy.
cool. Yeah.
And then when you listen to him play, on top of all that, and it's
Yeah.
just like, wow. And like the song he wrote about his dad.
Yeah, man.
Get out of
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like that guy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just can't believe his playing too. Like, you're around people, and you probably are one of those people who just can do a lot of things. Up
Not
in the
like
fretboard.
John. Yeah, John is there. A seasoned guy, and even a person that's like good at playing. There's a difference in being able to play good. So like I could teach you some stuff, and you'll learn it, and you could play it, according to what the song is doing. But man, there's something completely different about the actual time and years that's been spent on those same exact chords.
Yeah.
And so it's like I could play, you could give these chords to a person. I could teach you these chords today. You could play those chords, you play them right and all that. But it's just weird how you think about any, old musician that's been around forever, man, like it's something about when, they hit that chord. It's the same exact chord. It isn't a new chord.
That's true.
But it's
Mathematically,
like
it's probably the same thing.
it
but
is. It's the same
there's
chord,
a whole
dude.
different feeling.
There's a limit of chords. There's a limit of notes.
Yeah.
So essentially, we're looking at keys here. You only got 12 different tones. So there's literally 12 different tones, and then you got the different pitches. But it's all the same exact thing. This is the same as this. That's the same as that. Same as this. Same as this. It just repeats.
Yeah.
And you can mix them up and stuff like that. But nonetheless, it still is there. But the way that a person would come in that's been playing for whatever amount of time, one person may, hit it and it's correct, but another person may, slightly, hit this note just a little. I mean, literally a hair just before they hit the other two notes, and just those little things, man, just bring so much different of a color and feel, man.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just wild, dude.
It's
wild.
It's like another dimension, basically.
Yeah, it's different.
You
It's
know?
different. Yeah. So
Someday God's gonna be with us. We'll be with Him, and He's gonna kind of somehow open our eyes to how music works,
Woo.
and it's just gonna be
Oh
mind
man.
blowing, you know.
Oh man.
But we get glimpses of it, like something crazy is going on right now, and this is amazing. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like, wow, what is it?
Yeah. That's solid, man.
Man.
Now, before we end up rapping, do you have any favorite worship song?
I'm not generally a big worship song
Right.
guy.
But if there is one, what would that be?
You know, I shed a little bit of a tear, or more than a little bit, every time I hear Zach Williams do that song in prison. Of course, it's a live recording, so that's part of it. Have you ever seen that where he goes to a prison and sings to all of them?
Okay. Is it Fear?
Fear's a Liar.
That's,
I mean, I can't take it. That's just like, this is too good, you know. So that's one that stands out.
yeah. Now he's related. Who's related to him?
No.
So the pastor at Shawnee, New City Shawnee, that's his cousin.
No
That's his
way.
actual cousin. Grew
Wow.
up at Wow.
He's in town in 2 weeks. I don't know if you knew that.
Are you getting him on the?
Oh,
Hey man,
wish.
hey, one day though, seriously.
Someday.
Well, ask him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, matter of fact, he is.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That'd be all right.
Yeah, man. Hey, seriously.
How about Corey Asbury? Singing that.
Reckless.
Yeah, that's I mean, everyone knows that one, but the way he does it live, again, over the top. There's a lot of stuff falls in that category, though.
Yeah.
I'm just not that educated in worship bands and worship songs because I don't seek it out
Yeah.
on my own much.
Yeah.
You know.
That's cool, man.
You got any?
Yeah. Dang. How am I asking this question? What song do I know? I mean, it depends on season wise. But similar for me, man. Like, believe it or not, like I listen to so much of music in general. So like, I'll go through stints of like blues. I'll go through stints of Eric Alyoung type stuff. So like Eric Alyoung, he's had different decade basically of types of music. And so like I'll go through seasons to where I'll listen to only film scores, like, and it's all I'm listening to.
Wow.
And so and a lot of that, a lot of that is because since I played practically every Sunday, I tend to kind of not necessarily, listen to a ton of worship music outside of that,
that makes
because I'm
sense.
always, if you're always playing something, it's like, all right, I want to hear,
That's cool.
hear what else there is.
Again, I want to see your playlist because you know music and you have a broader range of, interest than I do, and I definitely just want to discover more stuff.
Yes. Okay.
Because I'm not that diverse.
Yeah.
In my
Okay.
music.
Okay. We gonna share some stuff,
All right.
man.
Love
We
it.
got to get you spot now. Do you Pandora or?
I'll
do you-
Amazon
Okay.
when I just want, music streaming in, but I keep my music on my phone, like actually on my phone, like the memory on my phone, so I can do my gigs without having to worry
Right.
about a connection.
All right. So, but how? It's funny. I'm even asking this now that we're in this time of streaming. So you are loading the music onto your phone.
Yeah.
So you downloading and then putting it,
Yeah.
saving it on. That's wild,
Yeah.
man. Like, which is cool because I have some downloaded, and it's funny because I had always said to people, I'm like, man, I'll never get rid of my CDs.
Right.
I'm like, hey, I'm not going where everybody's going. Everybody else want to, stream the music and stuff
Yeah.
like that. The quality is different, and it is different. But the thing,
Yeah.
MP3s are different
Yeah.
from actual, wave. But man, the convenience, the
Yeah. So
convenience
they each
just
have their
got to a
place.
point to where it's like,
But don't you ever wonder someday if like someone's gonna drop an electromagnetic bomb and somehow we're all gonna lose everything?
I would, to be honest with you, is this gonna sound bad? Hopefully this doesn't sound bad. It's kind of cool. Like, not like in like where,
Oh. Tell me
everything's
what you
ruined.
mean by that.
It's kind of cool because I love the idea of getting. I'm a old. I'm sort of an authentic snob a little bit, like not in a way to where you guys need this the way you need to do it, because there's always technologies. But like me personally, like I'd be happy if we went back to vinyl. Like I'd be happy, and not just because it sounds like it's something cool to do,
Mhm.
but I feel like because there was so much more of an appreciation for like music. There's so much more of an appreciation for like, man, I can't wait to actually go to the store to actually, and of course for me, I wasn't buying vinyl, but what I mean by
Yeah.
it is that there was a waiting period. So it's like, hey, man, as soon as such and such releases such and such album,
Yeah.
I'm going to go get that, and I can't wait to have the actual like physical copy and be able to see the art, be able to read, the
Yeah.
stuff behind the
Oh
scenes.
man, breaking out that the fold out and reading all the lyrics or
Ah,
reading about the
the
band or
content,
seeing
yeah,
the
the behind the
pictures.
scenes, and so,
Yeah.
I feel that's why I say what I say about that, because I feel like I don't feel like it's impossible for that to exist, but it is such a it will. I feel like at this point it'll always be such a niche thing, just because for the most part that convenience of where it is,
Yeah.
and that was a time to where musicians were able to like be musicians, and that's just what they
Yeah.
did,
Yeah.
and then within that there was also that time of, I believe, more creativity in a sense of, because you had, like, that's all you had.
That's
So
all
it's
you
like,
had.
if you look around here, like I have, software that can make the sound of anything that you see down here.
Yeah.
So I have software that I could easily pull up that will do exactly what that marimba sitting behind you will do. But there's something about actually putting a microphone under that and actually hitting those notes.
I
And
like
even
that,
if I
man. That's
can't hit
cool.
those notes as good as the software will do, darn it, that means I have to learn to
Yeah.
do it. And
Yeah.
by me learning to do it, there's something cool that
Oh,
actually happens in
I
it,
love
man.
where you're going with
Yeah,
that.
we gonna have to talk,
You
man.
know?
Like a
Yeah.
lot of my music, even if it ain't stylistically what you may be used to, or even a person may be used to,
Yeah.
there's so much underneath of what you hear. And
Yeah.
so like when you hear something, um man, we'll get there. But I have tracks to where, I'm recording a little bag of silica gels, for a shaker. I
Wow.
got stuff to where my daughter had accidentally broke a plate, and so I took, a microphone and dropped the plate the right way and put that in the track.
Yeah.
You never really necessarily know it, but it adds a certain feel that you couldn't get any other way.
Uh-huh.
And so that's why I say, like, that purist thing, it's a niche thing because it takes time, but that's where you get more creativity, you get
Yeah.
originality, and
Yeah.
ultimately you get feel. Like
Uh-huh.
it feels, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I may have heard something
Yeah.
similar,
Yeah.
but this actually has a certain feel that just feels different, versus, like I said, just getting something from the computer, which I love the convenience of. But it's like, man,
All
at
right.
some point,
So if the bomb goes off and we lose everything,
we're good.
we're good.
Yeah, we're good. We're starting
That
from,
makes me
hey,
feel better.
we're writing stuff down on
Yeah.
actual pads, and we're going in, and even if, like, let's just say no electricity, like,
Yeah.
we're good. We're gonna
Yeah.
get, I got an acoustic piano upstairs. We
That's
got
cool. I like
guitars
it.
and ukuleles.
Kind of a dumb thing that I did once was try to say, oh, I wonder, I'm going to do a scriptural dive on live music and see what does scripture say about live music.
Mm.
And then I realized after looking that it was all live music. And
It was right
I
then and
just
there.
dropped my head.
And
Yeah.
think about how much scripture there is on, like, like music is involved or a part of. You know, you think about when people were going to war
Yeah.
before battles, like
Oh, it was huge
they
part.
were,
Yeah,
and
it
just
was
that's
part of the
wild.
battle,
That's
right?
wild to
Yeah,
think
that is
about.
wild.
Weird, actually. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
and
going.
so yeah, there's got to be books on this.
Yeah,
People must have researched how music played a part
yeah,
in those times. Had to
yeah,
be. You
yeah.
know of anything like that?
I don't know if no, I don't. And it's funny. I feel bad saying that because that means that now it's time for us to dig seriously.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's like you said, there's got to be somebody who has written something that's
Mhm.
been specifically to
Oh,
to that, man.
how could there not be?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
music is medicine. Dang, I think that's the project that I'm about to start working on. It's gonna
be a
be
fun
called
one.
Music. Music is medicine. Don't y'all take that before I get a chance. Music is medicine. You know.
It is.
So
Yeah.
yeah, man. Well, cool. I appreciate you showing up on time. Actually, a little early, which is
Yeah.
on time.
Yeah.
And I feel horrible. Like I came rushing in.
Oh
I'm always
gosh,
teaching. Like
I
I'm
showed
my
no.
girls, my wife. They all know me for like being the guy. I show up 30 minutes at least early for everything.
I
I'm
be
there an
here.
hour early, like,
That's cool.
and then here it is. I'm like, all right, I'm setting all this stuff up. But appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah.
And looking forward to just the further connection, being able
Mhm.
to, see wherever, this connection actually leads us to,
Mhm.
whether that's us getting a chance to be able to share, music, but also getting a chance to be able to share like different outs. I call it outs, but
Yeah.
different outs in a way to where we're able to share different music in different environments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That may create some type of conversation, some type of inspiration,
Yeah.
change, or whatever it may be.
Oh yeah.
And dude, I appreciate it, man. You drove, is that 45 minutes?
Well, I
Peculiar?
work in Overland Park,
Oh,
so I
okay.
just
You
hung
right
out
there.
there. Swung over.
Okay. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, Ted. And looking forward to having you back again. Definitely want to end up having you here. I'd say I got some stuff that I'm kind of in the process of working out some thoughts on or whatever. I love to end up shooting some of that past you,
Oh,
and we'll
fun.
have a conversation like when.
I love the tip of the spear on people's
Yeah,
creativity
man.
and just seeing what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but thanks again for coming out, and dude, looking forward to it, man.
Oh yeah, pleasure's been all mine, brother.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, man, it's funny every time I go from here to look over, it feels like a talk show. Like, well, hey, so next time, guys, I really, really appreciate y'all spending time with me and Ted to have this conversation. It has been like I'm genuinely like smiling. I'm genuinely enjoying the time to be able to sit with this guy. And the hope is that going forward we will continue to be able to have conversations that will be more than just sound. It would be more than just hearing another song or talking about another song, but would be it may be family, it may be faith, it may be food, it may be the countryside. Like the whole point of it is that there's so much more to the reason why we enjoy music in the way that we enjoy it, and I just want to be able to uncover more of those things. So thank you guys for joining us tonight, and I forgot to bring the sponsor drink. I always have a drink that sponsors it unofficially, but we'll be back with that next week, and you guys have a good night. I'm gonna go ahead and run that intro as an outro. And you guys have a good night. Remember that God loves you, and I love you guys. All right. Okay. So if you like music, I believe you'll like this. Today